Hello, friends. Bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Colotero, on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co host is David, aka Premier Pulls on social media.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening today. On today's episode, Jen explains Halloween.
Welcome to the show. Grab a chair and make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share. You'll never feel alone.
So, what is Halloween? So, nowadays, Halloween is a very fun time for all things spooky and just a good excuse to have candy like every day, multiple times a day, and go to that one coworker's cubicle and
Well,
grab a piece.
and it's not even about like the 31st anymore, is it? It's about the whole month. I feel like end of August, like for sure mid September, we're already like it's Halloween time. But once October hits, it's like it used to be just Halloween day, but I feel like now it's Halloween month.
I feel like stores are pushing all holiday stuff just earlier and earlier.
Yeah, no, that's true for sure. But so yeah, like what is Halloween? I never really like thought about it. I just know it's like the day you dress up and get candy.
I've kind of known for years like a baseline of the history. So, it's a Celtic historical tradition. If I'm pronouncing it correctly, I believe it's called Samhain.
Mm.
And basically, there was a belief that that's when, like, what's called the veil thinned between the living and the dead, and spirits were able to come through to Earth more easily.
Oh, okay. Was it more of a like a spiritual thing or was it more of a like tradition, I guess? Like you said it's Celtic?
Yes, so it started off as a spiritual thing. They really believed that like this was the time that they could communicate more easily with their ancestors,
Oh,
but not just their ancestors, but also like other spirits. Like the gates just opened for everyone to come through.
got
So it
it.
was a good time to reconnect to your ancestors, but you also had to be careful with like other types of spirits.
Okay. And were they like the Celts, were they like polytheistic or monotheistic? Do we know?
I don't know that part, but
Okay.
I just know that they did believe in spirits and an afterlife and honoring your ancestors, that type of like veneration.
Mm.
So that's why they dressed up in costumes to blend in with other spirits.
Oh, interesting, interesting. Okay, and I've always heard it referred to, well, two parts. Like I've always heard it referred to like as a pagan tradition, but what is like the definition of a pagan or paganism? It's just like non-Christian? Is that what that means?
I feel like that's probably what it
Yeah.
means, like something that's not like Judeo-Christian.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, but I've always like referred to it as like pagan practices, but I've never really um kind of solidified what that means. So, do you know kind of I guess so that's where it originated was with like the Celts, but do you know how it kind of came to form like modern day?
Yeah, so by the way, I just looked it up. It's basically a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main and recognized religions, which for the
Mm,
most part, main and recognized religions have usually been some sort of like Judeo Christian, Abrahamic.
got it.
But, sorry, what was your question?
So, we know how it originated, but do we know how it had like the modern like how it evolved into the modern tradition of like now we do costumes and candy. Like, what about like modern Halloween? Where does that come from?
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't finish
Oh,
explaining
sorry.
like
Go
all
ahead.
the traditions. So, yes, they dressed up to blend in, and then the jack o' lanterns originally they were turnips.
Okay.
And if you look them up, they look like really creepy because they look like white skulls almost. So they would create like these faces and put a candle in them and it would light up. Um Pumpkins, I believe, were actually I don't remember exactly why
Hmm.
they turned to pumpkins.
They're probably cheaper,
Yeah,
more readily available.
probably. But just like anything, it becomes bastardized for capitalism.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
there were a lot of like Irish immigrants in the United States, and we like to like steal things from different cultures in America, kind of like spa water. Don't get me started on that.
Maybe
But
borrow things, but okay.
Yeah. So that's basically what we did. So, we were inspired by them. We borrowed it from them, like you said. And then yeah, we started dressing up, in costumes and knocking door to door to get some candy and carving jack-o'-lanterns and stuff. It's really fun. It's one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah. Um. Okay, so that's like the fun part of it, and like I think everybody's familiar with Halloween, but you said that the belief was that there is, or maybe that time of year, or that specific day, it opens up. Um, I don't say the portal, but I guess the separation isn't as strong between. Is it the living realm and the dead realm, or just like the living realm and the spiritual realm?
The living realm and the spiritual realm,
Okay.
because it's not just like your ancestors, which I guess are also like ghosts slash spirits. It's just like any sort of entity that's not of this physical realm comes through. And a lot of folks still feel that way. Astrologically, Halloween is during Scorpio season, and water signs tend to be the more like psychic of these signs, like
Okay.
when you really feel the most emotions, because water signs are also very like attuned to emotions. So a lot of people just feel things like very deeply and get like channeled messages very strongly. So even now in like the metaphysical astrological community, it still like holds weight as to like why the quote unquote veil thins.
Got it. Okay. Cool. What are some like common maybe spiritual practices around Halloween? Like if somebody who's like an occult practitioner, what like would they take advantage of this time? Because it comes once a year, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the time to work with your ancestors, to work with spirits. I feel like there are just some things that we do just because it's like Halloween and we like to get like spooky and stuff, but the time of year, it also just really depends a lot on what's going on astrologically. So like this year, we're going to be in eclipse season.
Mm.
So eclipse season is very intense and it just sort of adds to that. I think it, like for me personally, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tailor it around what else is going on astrologically.
Got it. And we had a Friday the 13th this month also?
We did. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, so people who maybe don't partake in Halloween, I don't want to make assumptions, but I'm guessing mostly like more religious people or people who are really devoted to their faith. What would be their protest in um participating? Is it more that like we just don't idolize like false gods or demons, or is it more like we need to be careful because Halloween time opens portals? Maybe not necessarily to like evil, but definitely spiritual things.
What I've seen from a lot of radical Christians is just like a misunderstanding. And they're like, it's the devil's birthday and you're
Mm.
celebrating death. You're not supposed to celebrate death. You're only supposed to celebrate like life, and life
Hmm.
is created by God and therefore celebrating God. So it's sort of how like, celebrating death is seen as pagan. That's why like Santa Muerte and stuff is seen as like very counterculture
Got
when
it.
you're venerating death.
Uh-huh.
So it's just sort of like, why would you do that in the eyes of someone that like I used to be of like a Christian Catholic background, so these are just things that like I remember. My parents didn't care. They were just like free candy, cool. But I know that like some more hardcore folks definitely were like, it's the devil's birthday and we don't play with spirits and things like that.
On a technical level, though, it's not quote unquote the devil's birthday, right? Like October 31st doesn't have any relevance to.
No, that's just what they call like evil things. It's sort of like calling a monster like the devil's energy drink. It's
Got it.
just like the devil's lettuce, like the devil's anything. It's just like not to be touched, you know?
Got it. Okay. So what else can you tell us about Halloween?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a lot of fun. But yes, there are some folks that like don't participate and feel like it's really evil. It's really interesting though that like both sort of like the pagans, if you will, and then like the very conservative Christians can both agree that it's like an ultra spooky spiritual time. I don't know. I just think that's kind of interesting that both extremes sort of like view it the same. And then also Dia de los Muertos is celebrated like November 1st, November 2nd. ish. So it's like right around the same time. So Dia de los Muertos used to be, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but long story short, it used to be a more like pagan thing with the Aztecs, and then the Spanish came and they were like, you're gonna celebrate it on All Saints Day, which was, you know, determined by the Catholics to be like this day. So it's just very interesting that like all these different viewpoints, depending on where you're looking at it, but a lot of people can agree that this is a time that is like very spiritual. And it's also, like I said, Scorpio season. It also lines up astrologically. Like, I just think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Um, I mean, this is one of those episodes where it's not like a practice or anything. So I don't have anything to believe or disbelieve. I guess my only hot take is just the capitalism of it all, right? Like, you know, when there's like a hot movie or there's like a hot event, like, the costumes are gonna come, right?
I also have a hot take slash hot question. Have you heard of spooky baskets? I have not heard of spooky baskets until this year.
Is it like Easter baskets?
Yes.
No, I have not. And yeah, again, back to the capitalists, like, cause like we already get the candy, we already get the costumes. Like it just seems like squeezing every last drop, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I had the same thing where I was like, capitalism strikes again. But you know what? We're honestly we're freaking hypocrites. I'm gonna say it right now because we're excited to flex. We're excited to get like the king size candy
Oh,
bars.
100%.
We're excited to give out the Halloween packs. Like, y'all don't listen to us. We're just being hypocritical. Like, we participate and look forward to the capitalism as well.
Definitely. Yeah, no, but I think it's great. It's really interesting to see like what pop culture comes up with. I remember the pandemic year, it was like all about Tiger King and like all the Joe, was it Joe, not Joe Exotic.
Yes, it is Joe
It
Exotic.
is Joe Exotic. Okay, yeah. Everybody's been like Joe Exotic, and this year I think I went to a couple Halloween stores, and there was the Barbie movie was really big. It was a lot of Barbie, and I've seen a lot of like it's gonna be like the hot couple costume is gonna be Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift. So it's just really interesting. Like every Halloween is you know you get a sense of what's in the zeitgeist, right? Of like what's going on. I think I remember one of my favorite times of like costumes was when The Dark Knight came out and everybody had really cool Joker costumes. I thought people got creative with that. Um, and this is kind of tying a little bit into the our examples portion of the podcast, but this last weekend we did go to Halloween Horror Nights. Speaking of capitalism, big shout out to Universal Studios. They don't pay us, but if they want to or give us free tickets, I'm never opposed to it. What'd you think?
I loved it. I just thought it was like so fun, so creative. Just my feet were cramping. I wish like I could hang more, but eventually like my feet were giving out. I I don't know. I feel like the only thing that got me was like the jump scares, but past that, it's not like terrifying. But I feel like I put like my nervous system through like the stress test of a lifetime. Like I've been through some shit. So it's just like the literally the only thing was like the flinch, like the nervous system reacting to like something's coming from a corner. But I appreciated it. Like we went through the Latin American haunted house and I wanted to stop and ask questions. I want to be like, ooh, what's this? Like tell me about this painting. But of course they're like, rah, get the fuck out.
Yeah, no, I thought it was super fun, and I got to see the Harry Potter world, which I hadn't seen since it came out. And it was cool because the Death Eaters were out, and I guess they only come out during Halloween, which made it really more exciting. I feel like they put up a lot of green for like Slytherin and things like that. But no, really fun. Just you know, it's just like embracing the spirit of Halloween, right? It's like all these corporations are like, let's throw a fucking pumpkin on it or a vampire, and we're good to go. So
I love pumpkin spice, pumpkin pie. I like a lot of pumpkin. So I am into the hype.
I think with the all the pumpkin related stuff, that's not necessarily Halloween, but that's just more of like autumn, right? It's kind of like the season. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just pumpkin is delicious. I'm always down for pumpkin.
Yeah. Um with so just kind of to recap, so Halloween was a Celtic tradition, right? That how did it get over to the States?
Immigrants, as all good things do.
So okay, so they're the ones who brought it over, and then people just like took onto their. I'm just trying to picture like how it worked. Like, so they brought it over and what, like in their own neighborhoods, they were trick or treating.
I don't know exactly how like they integrated it, but I mean it definitely originally originated from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the Irish, and somehow sort of like St. Patrick's Day. That's also Irish. Cinco de
Yeah.
Mayo, like a bunch of good stuff.
Well, I guess my question is because like, so it didn't originate in the States, which I before this episode I didn't know that. I thought it maybe started like sometime in like when the Salem witch trials were going on. Was my like random guess. But I never hear that Halloween is really celebrated anywhere outside of the States. And if it is, it's very like parallel to what we do now, which is like going out, dressing up, like doing that. But I've never heard like, you know how you mentioned like the St. Patrick's Day, like they probably celebrate that in Ireland. I've never heard of any other country celebrating Halloween the way we do. So that's why I was like, oh, that's interesting that it came over, but it doesn't sound like it remained in the parts of the world that it originated from, right?
Yeah, because it was very like pagan, and then eventually Ireland was converted to Catholicism, so that probably either like faded out or blended. Sort of like I said, the Aztecs also celebrated something similar, and then they were like, "No, you ain't. You now," or not, "No, you're not," but more like, "Okay, but now it's gonna be All Saints Day," and put like a Catholic twist on it, just like Christmas. Christmas was German for like something else I can't remember.
Oh,
And then they put like a twist on it, and we're like, now it's Jesus's birthday, which I can't imagine Jesus being a Capricorn. I can imagine Jesus being a Pisces, but anyway, I digress.
So, okay. So then the modern Halloween that we celebrate today is a twist on the original like practice, which is we'll dress up to blend in with the spirits, and then sorry, did you explain the candy part? Is that kind of from back then too?
Yes, it was to appease the spirits, basically like to be a good host so they don't fuck with you.
Oh, okay. So they would give out treats to like the people coming knocking on your doors.
Yes.
Oh.
So, I just pulled up my notes because I forgot I had notes in another tab. But in the mid 1800s, Irish immigrants came to the United States and they brought Halloween traditions with them, which included dressing up in costumes, asking neighbors for food, and then I totally forgot about pulling pranks because
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't do that, like trick or treat, duh.
Yes.
But I don't know. I just never teepeed or egged anyone's house. Have you?
No. That seems really mean and dramatic. Egging for sure. Like that's horrible. Teeping. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't be as mad. But like, yeah, egging would be kind of fucked, especially with the prices of eggs right now. Yeah.
After COVID, I'm also not taking toilet paper for granted.
Yes, that's true. So what's the trick part?
I don't remember because I just totally forgot about trick or treating until like right now, just because I never did any of the tricking, if you will.
Got it. Yeah, and I think it's the whole saying is what like trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. It makes sense how it turned into modern day Halloween with I like that. I like the blending with the spirits. So just the tradition itself seems actually really cool. Yeah, and I had no idea that's how Halloween started. Maybe as a little throwback, not this year, but just do a deep cut and maybe do turnips instead of jack-o'-lanterns next year.
Oh god. They look kind of creepy with their teeth because they look like real teeth because they're white. Like if y'all Google like turnip jack-o'-lanterns, they look really freaky.
Wow. Yeah. I know that's that would be fun too. Also, turnips are like really hard to carve. I don't know if you ever like worked with a turnip, but even cutting them is not easy. So
Also, turnips are kind of small, so I don't see how you could like put a light in so easily. Maybe that's why they switched to pumpkins.
yeah, maybe. I mean, that makes sense just to make it a little easier. Cool. So anything else on Halloween as far as like what it is or what the listeners should know?
It's just a very spiritual time through a lot of different lenses, which is very interesting. And Also Scorpio season, like I said, water signs are a little more just like naturally psychic and intuitive.
So they got the spook factor.
Yeah, they do, especially Scorpio. Scorpio
Nice.
definitely has that spooky edge.
Cool. So now is the time to talk about like the examples with Halloween. Just I guess basically discuss our own personal experiences with Halloween and just share with everybody kind of what we've done. So tell me a little bit about like your Halloween experiences.
Well, we would always like to go to the nice rich people neighborhoods in Manhattan Beach because they always had the king size candy bars. So it's actually kind of like a no, not 360, a 180 that like now we get to give out the king size candy bars. So that's freaking dope. We're that neighborhood now. I think we saw cars pull up last year, but
We're definitely not the rich people though, like cause
no. We're like a middle class neighborhood, but I grew up in a low income neighborhood.
yeah.
So it's just nice that like now I can give out the king size candy bars. Anyway, sorry, that just hit me right now. But yeah, so we would go to Manhattan Beach. It was really nice. It was cold. I don't know if it's cold now because of global warming, but it was always chilly. They always had like super amazing decorations and haunted houses. Some people would be really lazy to give out candy, so they would just give out money.
Really?
Yeah, they would give out like 20s. They'd be
They
or
give out 20s?
sometimes, yeah, I got money sometimes. I
But you
remember.
got like a straight 20?
Hmm.
Holy shit, that's we
That was like 1 year. I don't think they did it like all the time, but there was like one time that I remember. I think getting like $20.
see. This is how like chismes or like gossip gets started because I know there's like the urban legend of Oprah would give out like iPods or iPhones or like some crazy shit, and like I don't even know if that's true or not, but you hear the story of like, oh, the house gives $20 bills, and then when you go and they give you the little like miniature fun dips, you're like, damn, where's my 20?
But yeah, so it was always fun. And then, you'd come back home with your loot and then your parents would have to check it for drugs.
I know, right? Like who's out there giving out drugs? What did you dress up as? Or what are some of your more memorable Halloween costumes?
I know. I was gonna say, like, I can't remember all of them, but the most memorable one was when I was in kindergarten. I was a little kangaroo, and
That's adorable.
it was basically like a big old kangaroo onesie with a built-in pouch, but the pouch had a little stuffed animal baby kangaroo that could Velcro, and its little head was sticking out of the pouch.
That's so cute. That's a good costume.
What's one of your most memorable costumes?
Oh gosh. When I was a senior in high school, I dressed up as a sunflower and I stood up in the quad and looked up at the sun. I thought that was kind of fun. But Halloween for me was always fun. My mom, when I was a kid, would always like make sure I had my little costume. I think I was Zorro one time. And I think I went through all the typical stages, right? Like when you're a kid, you do the costumes, you wear your costume to school, you get candy. As I grew up, as I was getting older, middle school and high school, I would do Halloween on my own. We'd either go to the park and obviously like ask for candy or do, just hang out. I never got into like the pranks. That was never really my thing. I didn't really know about it. But again, as I was older, I was able to just kind of go on my own and just hang out with friends. And then when I went to college, it really like Halloween was like Halloween on steroids because I went to school in Santa Barbara. I went to Santa Barbara City College, and down the ways is UCSB, which is in Goleta. And then there's that little, I don't know, I don't even know if it's a city, but it's IV or Isla Vista, which is just insane. Like if you want to do Halloween as an adult or like a college student, like I don't know if they're still doing it, but when I was in college, it was the place to go. And it's literally like, it's already known like as a big party like city, but Halloween was just to the next level. I mean, there'd be people from all over California. I met people from like out of town, and like all the stereotypical things you see in like movies, like college movies, like those American Pie or whatever. It was like that, but like times 10, right? So the streets were flooded with people in costumes, and it's definitely like a once in a lifetime experience. Again, I think like every year they crack down like a lot more. I think towards the end they had a situation where if you couldn't prove that you were like a resident there, then they like wouldn't let you in. Like the sheriffs like literally closed it down. But I definitely was there when it was going off. So like Halloween in Isla Vista is just it's like a whole mood. Definitely a little too old for it now. I don't know if I could survive it, but yeah. I mean, when I was in college, I definitely lived the college experience, and that was super fun.
I remember hearing ads of like "Don't come to Isla Vista" when I would listen to Pandora when I lived in LA before I met you. I was like, where the fuck is Isla Vista? And now I see why. And then I heard of people even like as far as Riverside taking like buses to Isla Vista to
Yeah.
parties. So it's true. The hype is real.
Yeah, no, they would charter buses and stuff like that, and yeah, I was just really fortunate to live there. Luckily, I didn't live in like Isla Vista proper. I lived in Santa Barbara, so I didn't. I got to just enjoy all the best parts. Like living there, I think would be like a nightmare. And Halloween, I don't know how people do it, but I mean, yeah, you would just be walking down the streets, and you could. I mean, you probably like shouldn't, but you would just walk into people's houses, and the big thing was like jungle juice, and so there'd be like tubs of like all it was just like fruit punch with a shit ton of alcohol, and then like that was like Halloween and IV. So I mean, good memories. It was super fun. So yeah, so Halloween's always been super fun, and now like you said, now we're giving out the candy. So I've come full circle, you know.
Yeah, so what we're hoping to do this year is okay, so really cute story. Last year we gave out Pokemon packs, which is like very unusual, and all the little kids loved it. And they would tell other little kids like that's the Pokemon house. And then I also for any pets that were out, I had like special dog treats that were like, shaped like bats or Frankenstein's monster or whatever. But there was a little kid that was running to our house, and he was like, are you the Pokemon house? Do you still have Pokemon cards? And then his dad was like, I've never seen him run for anything in my life. So that was awesome. We want to go a little bigger. We still want to have the king size. I think last year we had normal candy bars.
And we had like just the regular candy that you buy the variety pack, and we were at now.
Oh yeah, one of our friends, shout out to Myra and Iris, had to go like run to 7-Eleven or something to get more. But yeah, so we got a bunch of candy. But this year we want to do the king size candy bar, still the dog treats, still the Pokemon cards. And then we're going to see if we can make it happen logistically. We want to have a Keurig bar for the parents with the flavored syrups and then creamer and then different types of like Keurig little pop-in serving things, the K-cups. Yeah,
so we're definitely gonna be that house. What's a little scary, no pun intended, is that we haven't decorated yet. I think we have like a Halloween wreath, but we probably should get on that. We have like a cool projector that does lights, so that one's gonna be a little easy, and maybe some lawn decorations. But yeah, no, I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're in the area, pull up.
For sure. So yeah, that's kind of Halloween for us. It kind of died down for you once you were like a kid, right? You didn't kind of go through the different stages.
Yeah, it became kind of like a moody teenager, and I was like, yeah, but then I was able to sort of like find joy in it again once I was an adult, and yeah, it's been great. I love Halloween now.
Cool. Awesome. So we're going to cut our kind of example short and thank you everybody. We actually got a good amount of questions. So we're going to extend our question time a little bit and try to answer these as much as we can. So we'll kind of go ahead and get started. We got one from Jose on Spotify. It says, why can't ghosts have babies? Because they have hollow weenies. Not really a question, but that made me laugh. And I actually didn't see this beforehand, so genuinely laughing at this right now. It says, for David, did you ever catch the guy who went trick-or-treating at your house last year? So this isn't my first time doing like content. I did have a YouTube channel, and almost a year to the date, I did my last video, and it was opening up Halloween Pokemon cards, and we had a fun little skit with my buddy Jose where he knocked on the door and pretended to steal the cards. So, did I ever catch him? No, but maybe this year. So if you do want to see that, you can check out my YouTube channel, Premier Pools. And I don't know if sadly, but it is the last video that was uploaded, and it just hit me like that was exactly about a year ago because it was during Halloween. And then this one's for you, Genesis, also from Jose. He says, "Are owls witches?" So I've never heard of that.
Oh, really? But it's kind of a common thing in like Latin America, like la lechuza. So a lot of people feel that like a lot of witches turn into owls, and so a lot of people like are kind of scared to see an owl because then they feel like there's a witch like watching them. Some places go as far as like killing owls
Oh
like on
shit.
site. Yeah. No, like it depends on where you are in Mexico, but yeah, that kind of happened like I think around like my where my parents grew up. Because I remember my dad being like, I hate that people do that. So, I have a positive spiritual association with birds, so it makes me sad to like see them demonized because like from a scientific standpoint, like ecologically they're very important in like the food chain and stuff, like the birds of prey. I also think they're just beautiful.
Smart,
Yeah,
right?
they're smart, like yeah, and then again just like my spiritual appreciation for the birds. So, um but then also like witches has like a negative connotation. It's like I don't think witches are bad either, right? So, um
But what's so like to get back to the question, like what is that? Do you know where that originates from, or what the idea is behind owls, quote unquote, being witches?
I don't know why. I mean, I've also heard like witches turn to crows and stuff. It's just like one of those common, like sort of like vampires turn to bats. It's just one of those things that you know about like the folklore and mythology. I don't know where it originates from, but it's just like a commonly held belief.
Mhm.
I don't know if you ever saw that popular YouTube video, but like an owl flew into a church and people started like singing at it,
What the
and then it
fuck?
starts bobbing its head to the music. Okay, well,
No, I have not.
yeah, it's like a Spanish church. Anyway, so I don't think so. I feel like if someone had the power to shapeshift, they could shapeshift into anything, not just an owl, but
So I think we take a hard stance. Owls are not witches, and we're that way we protect the owls.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So don't go messing with owls. Mess with something else.
Yeah, don't mess with any innocent creatures. Yeah, leave the birds alone.
um. So Mazi on Spotify and Instagram says, "Do you think that communication with an inanimate object can open the doors to spirits taking over and manipulating the conversation or paranormal activity? Also, is there anything you stay away from on Halloween?" So shout out Mazi. I don't see how the first question is Halloween related, but let's still answer it.
Yeah, so it's sort of like Ouija board sort of question,
Uh,
like can that open the portal to something? I feel like potentially if you don't know how to like protect and ground yourself and like sort of like do like a hard stop of the portal when you're trying to like communicate with something, I feel like potentially, yeah, if you if you don't know how to fuck around properly, you're gonna find out type of thing.
well, and, okay, so for me, this is where my skepticism comes in. It's like it's just so arbitrary, right? Like you have like Annabelle the doll, who's like super possessed or whatever, but it's like anything can be possessed, right? I mean, you could have, it's just the intent that you put behind it. So
But I feel like when you're actively being like, hey, I want to talk to you, I want to like connect to your energy so that you can like talk to me, I feel like you're opening yourself up to that. Like, I don't know. I just am very careful with like how I use my, it's not a Ouija board because it's for a pendulum, but it's like basically the same thing. It's like a small one. I'm just really careful with like my opening ritual and closing ritual. But I feel like if someone doesn't know what they're doing, yeah, they could sort of like do something. But it's similar to like when I read tarot because I connect to people's energy, right? So like there was a reading that I did that was like it's probably like one of the most intense readings I've done, even more intense than like the ones I've shared. This one was like mundane. It wasn't like a wild question or anything, but it's just like what the person lived. And after that, I felt like, ooh, I need to like cleanse myself. Like it can just be very intense when you're intentionally trying to connect to something.
Okay. And maybe like that does segue into the second part of the question. Like is there anything you should stay away from on Halloween? Since you did say that portal is not as strong or the separation isn't as strong, like is there anything to steer away from during Halloween?
I personally don't, just because it's Halloween. Like I take a look at everything else around me. Like right now it's eclipse season. So I'm going to stay away from manifesting. Manifesting during eclipse season is not good. But I don't necessarily stay away from anything just because it's Halloween. I think it depends on like what else is going on. If anything, I feel like it's a good time to try new things on Halloween because the portal is a little more open.
Okay.
But again, just have really good like grounding.
I guess, I don't know. The way I picture it is like from the movie Monsters Inc., where they're like, when you go in and scare the kids, make sure that you don't bring like a kid back. And then that scene where he has the sock on him and they like tackle him. Oh gosh, this the famous line, and I'm blanking on it, but as we've been talking through this episode, when you explain like the portals and stuff, it's like that's kind of what I picture, right? Like, yeah, it's open, yeah, explore it, but like don't bring any shit back, right?
Honestly, that's a really good way to put it. Yeah, it's true.
Even though I don't necessarily believe that there's like portals to anything, it just fucking enjoy the free candy, right? Like it doesn't need to be anything more than that. Cool. So Mazi, thank you so much for your question. Mercy on Spotify asks, "What's your opinion on adults taking their infant children trick or treating? Is it okay, or do we side eye them? We all know that babies aren't eating the candy. Also, favorite couple's costume you've done." We'll start with the couple's costume. I think it was our Mario and Luigi, right? So I dressed up as Mario and you dressed up as Luigi, and it was great. We got a lot of compliments, and I may have been drinking too much pumpkin juice. I got a little friendly with everybody, and but we were in Florida, and that was super fun. So I think that's probably been our favorite costume. And I don't want to say lazy or frugal, but we kind of kept them. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So, but it might be time to upgrade.
I was going to try to give the excuse of we care about the environment. So we're reducing, reusing, and recycling.
Yeah, that's a weak excuse. But more on Mercy's actual question about Halloween. So yeah, what are your opinions on adults taking their infant children trick-or-treating?
I love to see the babies dressed up, so I don't care who eats the candy. I just want to see the babies. They look so cute.
I think she's more asking, like, are you exposing them to any, like, unwanted negative energy? Because she's like, is it okay, or do we side-eye them? So...
But then after that, she says, we all know those babies aren't eating the candy. So I think she's like, the adults want free candy. Like, is it cringe? I don't think so.
Well, why don't we answer, like, both, though? Like, because... maybe spirituality is high or portals are open, like is there any spiritual danger to it?
No, because the child isn't connecting to that. They're participating in the like
right.
superficial holiday. So no,
you're not like manifesting. Like if you're dressing up your kid as like a little demon, you're not like, all right, demon's here, he's like one of yours, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not.
It's all about intention.
Yeah, but I don't think it's cringe. I love seeing babies dressed up. It looks so cute, especially like little bumblebees or little like Buzz Lightyears. I don't know.
And like demons aren't going to be fucking with Peppa Pig. Like that's just not, I think what they're going to go for, right?
I think they already recruited her.
Okay, so yeah, Mercy, I think have fun, do it. I would agree. I think it's all about intention, right? Like now, if you're doing like rituals during Halloween because it is Halloween, and you include your baby as part of that ritual, then that's one thing, right?
Yeah, I feel like they don't have the ability to. I think it depends what you're doing. If you're doing like a protection spell, that's like different.
But you wouldn't do that on Halloween, right?
Why not? It's as good a day as any. But yeah. I just feel like the question is more superficial. It's okay. Go get that candy. Go show off your cute baby. I want to see some pictures of what you're gonna dress up your baby as.
Nice, cool. And the last question we have, which I think is actually a really fun one, is from Tommy, aka again, Bunnies Are Gay. I feel like they've submitted a question for every episode that we've had questions. So thank you so much for the support with that. It really means a lot, and it's kind of cool just seeing repeat people because they're obviously listening. So their question is your ranking of Halloween treats. And this question I did see a while back, and I'm actually really excited for this one. So I'll start, but I think for me it's like categories. I would say my favorite Halloween like candy, and this is the only time I eat this particular candy. I don't ever like buy myself one, but the Almond Joys. And it's cool because a lot of people hate the Almond Joys. So when I was like younger, they would always be like, yeah, you can have the Almond Joys. For anybody who's never tried an Almond Joy, it's like coconut shavings covered in chocolate, and I want to say almonds or some sort of nut.
Yes,
so,
almond.
Yeah, so I fuck with the Almond Joys.
It's an almond joy.
Oh, duh. Wow. Yeah, thanks for putting me on the spot there. So I would say my favorite is like the Almond Joy. But apart from that, I would go in like different categories. So you got your chocolate, then you got like your gummy, and then I have like the others, which is like the Smarties, the Fun Dips, the like lollipops. Okay, so I was do the chocolate. I would probably say Almond Joy, then the Kit Kat, and then maybe like one Butterfinger. But like once you get multiple Butterfingers, you get that like toffee stuck in your teeth, and I don't really like that. So that's my ranking on the chocolates. For the gummies, the number one is the little like Krabby Patty gummy hamburgers. Oh, those are my favorite. And then any like subset of that, so like the gummy pizzas or the gummy like whatever, those are really fun. And then like gummy worms or like I know they sell like the little Hasbro like for Halloween the gummy bears. So, and then lastly the other categories like I think lollipops would be at the bottom, and then like oh gosh, going back to the chocolate, what is the Tootsie Rolls? Those are disgusting. I hate Tootsie Rolls. That's like the house the cheaped out I got. It's just the one with the Tootsie Rolls and the lollipops. And then kind of on that subcategory, I'm not a big fan of the Smarties. Like I'll eat a couple, but then I kind of just feel like chalk. And then the hottest take on candy is candy corn. So I'm gonna ask: are you pro or against candy corn, Genesis?
Pro candy corn.
Yes.
And
pro candy corn goes hard. I love candy corn. I don't know why people hate it so much. Definitely could not be a year-round thing. I will say that. Like after a few, it's kind of sickening, but like they taste delicious.
yeah. So I was gonna say, yeah, I like candy corn. I don't know why I get so much hate. I can't like eat a lot of it, but a few, it's like kind of satisfying. I would say my favorite is anything that's like wafer or like rice based, like Crunch, Kit Kats. Love those types of like chocolates. So those are my top two, tied for first place. And then after that,
not Reese's? You love Reese's.
I do love Reese's. Those are gonna be number two.
Number two is Reese's?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then number three, I would say, is like Fun Dip. I like Fun Dip. Yeah, I think it's cool. Number four, and four is not low by any means. This is still like great. Is Mexican candy. I like the why am I blanking on the name? Known pelon. Yes, yeah. The pelon. Which is like a tamarind based candy, like a tamarind paste.
But you don't get that during Halloween.
Some houses give it out.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking about candy in general.
Well, they specifically asked your ranking of Halloween treats. When was the last time you got Mexican candy in like your Halloween bag?
I feel like I've gotten it before.
Okay.
I get Halloween vibes from that. I don't know. I grew up very Mexican, I guess. It was like sweet.
It goes with it.
Yes. And then I will say something that I don't like is Snickers.
Yeah.
And Butterfingers. don't like
I
them.
can agree with that. They're kind of a lot. So awesome. Well, that flew by. Happy Halloween to everyone. Just a little housekeeping. If you still have your readings, Halloween is the last time to redeem them. And then, lastly, if what was the other one? Oh, if you want to submit your questions, please do so on Spotify. Or what are your socials, Genesis?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Jen Calotaro, GenKahlotarot. Or if you'd rather connect by email, tarotwithgenesis@gmail.com. Next week's episode is going to be about Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
So, Dia de los Muertos, All Saints Days, all that jazz. So, you can submit your questions on Spotify, on Instagram. If you prefer to be anonymous, DM or email me. And happy Halloween. Stay safe. Check your candy for drugs. I don't think there will be any in there, but you never know. And yeah, let us know. Send us pictures of your Halloween costumes. I'd love to see. All right, everyone. Blessed be and signing off.
Bye.